How are you?
Fine,
I'm
you?
good.
Thanks for connecting
Of
today.
course. We've been trying to do this for what, like a year?
Yeah.
Sorry it took so long.
No, it's perfect. Family, you're married and honeymoon, maybe?
Yes, I got married to a
And
guy from Belgium th this
yeah,
year, and we got married in Denmark and Copenhagen because it's very hard to get married in the US, and
yeah.
I guess it's really hard to get married in Belgium. There was a lot of papers to do, so we Googled for the easiest place to get married in Europe, and it turns out it's Copenhagen. So we met there and got married, and he's going to move here. We're waiting for the green card, which takes forever, a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a year, maybe more,
Hmm.
because everything's with our immigrations behind because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you live in Barcelona?
Yeah. A little city in the uh, 10 kilometers
So
to Barcelona.
did,
It's a small town.
did you get to
Uh,
see us
Sant Boi.
play? Did you go?
What?
You'd go to my show?
No, no, I can't. Primavera Sound. One of the questions about Primavera Sound. So let's go.
Okay, let's start. It was crazy, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
could have got you into the club show. I wish
yeah.
we had talked because we played Primavera, and then we played a
Hmm.
very small club called
Yeah.
Vol,
Vol. Yeah, Vol.
and that was crazy. That show.
Yeah. Impossible to find tickets to the
I know
Vol.
it was the venue was too small.
Yeah. 200.
Yeah,
No, 200 or 300.
200 maybe. Maybe we put more people in. It was very crowded.
Yeah.
So yeah, I right after the tour ended, I got COVID, and
No.
seriously,
Yeah.
and I'm almost 100% sure it was from that club show in Spain.
The total experience.
It's funny because I'm a teacher, and
Yeah.
for 2 years I did
Yeah.
not get COVID. Like I
No.
got sick and I didn't get it, but it
Hmm.
finally caught up to me in Spain, I think. So I'm fine. It was
Yeah.
not a bad case of COVID. So.
Mhm.
But that club show, the people were this close to my face, and it was no air moving, and I
Yeah.
thought no one's wearing a mask in Europe anymore. So I think lots of people got COVID at Primavera.
Hmm.
But that was my little my gift.
Come, play, enjoy, and get COVID.
COVID. But it worked out okay because I stayed in Europe for 2 weeks in Belgium, and then I gave my husband COVID. So then I passed that on to him, and so we just stayed in a Airbnb in Belgium and had COVID together. So romantic.
Now, COVID is like another um, not mortal.
Yes, I have had 4 vaccines.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
two regular and 2 booster. So they did exactly what they're supposed to. I am alive, and I didn't get very sick. So it's fine. It's fine. I knew it would catch up with me sometime. So
Now it's worse another sickness now than the COVID.
yeah, you mean monkey
A lot of
pox? the new
What?
there's the new disease called monkey.
Ah, yeah. Yeah. It's a crazy. I love the films like 20 years after and 20 days after and these movies.
Yes.
I love
Now,
it. So
right. Now they're
we are in that moment, in this moment.
true. But I I heard about monkeypox, this, kind of old but new, I guess, virus. And I read about the symptoms. Like, it sounds really bad. Like, I don't want that.
No.
I looked at some pictures and
Yeah.
I was,
No.
oh, hell no. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Well, it's I remember when the pandemic first started, I was teaching my students, and they are all boys. I'm in an all boys school, and they're about 11 years old. It was first in the news coming out of China. And one of my students said to me, Miss Coletta, is this something we need to worry about? And I said, oh no, it's no big deal. It's going to be fine. And I still think about that moment. I'm like, oh, we're not so fine. Not so fine.
Yeah.
But we didn't know. No. Well, I'll let you ask the questions about Primavera. I'll let you ask.
No, we live very, very strange times. This era with lockdown, with all the world stopped, with the pandemic, in the music, for example, with no touring,
Yes.
bands making live concerts, but in the rehearsal place, and these interviews or these talks or chats with social media, maybe the things are changing.
I agree. I think musicians and people in the music world that we're part of are very creative. And I think at first, the beginning of the pandemic, everyone, well, we didn't know it would last a long time, so we just kind of sat around being a little scared, I think. And musicians did what they do best, which is get creative, start doing online concerts and talking like we're talking now. Because I knew this before, we just didn't do it. Now I have a Zoom Pro account, and it's just I think there's some things that are interesting that came out of the pandemic, and I think learning how to communicate in different ways is cool, actually.
Yeah.
Like this, what we're doing right now is I love that. So
yeah,
and we didn't just sit around. So musicians did things, and but I will say we were supposed to play Primavera June of 2020.
Yeah.
Scheduled to June 2021. Again, no. And so finally get to go. And I don't know what to think about Primavera. It's very big. It's very big, and I think it's expensive. I think the tickets are expensive. So I thought it was not the usual thing we do, and so I was really nervous about playing there. But I must say the crowd was really great. Really great. Now listen, I was in a band, so I got to have a nice place in the back and all the water I wanted to drink, and a bathroom. But I heard a lot about the audience, like running out of water and long lines, and it sounded a little, I don't know, crazy for the people going.
So, I think now Primavera is a big or massive party, music party,
Yeah.
more than a concert or a music festival. I think, and people feels like this, like a big party with music.
Yes.
Maybe is that the if you love music, 1,600 people in Thursday and in Saturday. There are a lot of people to a concert to see a band for 100 meters.
Yeah, I have to say, I hate parties.
No, but the organization is great.
Yeah.
The crew is
Yes.
great with you, with the band.
Yes.
You are so grateful with the festival crew.
Yes, the people who worked for it were
like
they were cool, and I was surprised at how organized it is. Like, you know, they told us exactly when they're going to pick us up at the hotel. Then you go here, and then we bring you back. Everything was like, and you get a sound check. And most festivals, you do not get a sound check. You just throw your shit on stage and do this little line check. It's awful and scary. And we actually had a real sound check. So I think Jawbox, there were much bigger bands playing than us, and there were smaller bands playing. So we sit somewhere in the middle. But we were still treated really well. Nice, but again, I don't really drink alcohol, and I don't like get this, I don't like large groups of people. They make me uncomfortable. So I didn't spend much time in the audience because it freaks me out, and you're gonna laugh. I didn't want to get COVID. Ha ha ha.
This is my view. Like to the audience, to the people who love music, Primavera Sound is not the greatest place to see a band, but it's a great place to take a party with music. Expensive party.
I agree with you. As a music lover, I would never go to Primavera. I'm able to say that because I like smaller shows. Right? So I do feel we got to play the club in Barcelona the next night, and it should have been a bigger club, but the show was put on by the same guys who did our show like 25 years ago, and they're like old dear friends of ours, and the audience that night for the club was excellent. Like, well, wait, except for one Spanish guy who gave me a lot of trouble. He was right in front of me, trying to grab my legs. He was really drunk, and he kept trying to get up on stage, and at one point he picked up my monitor and lifted it over his head, and I was like, fuck. So what happened then, first I talked to him between songs. I'm like, you gotta stop. This is what I said, which makes me laugh. I'm like, buddy, this is my fucking workspace. Like, I'm working now. Like, you're just being a pain in the ass. But then a bunch of Spanish people and one guy from England who was there took him and put him behind them and wouldn't let him get close to me again. So yeah,
Great.
so there was that, but people were stage diving, like these 50-year-old men were stage diving, which I have never seen it. It was fun. It was like they were living their youth again. They were like children again. It was cool.
Yeah.
But that show was excellent. We played with a great Spanish band, a band called Sime, I think it's pronounced, from Mallorca. Like, crazy, right? Like they came from a fucking island to play with us, and they're young kids. And after we played, they were so good. And they come up to me and they're like, "Can we give you a hug? You're like our punk mother." And I'm like, okay. They're like in their 20s. So like, yeah, mother. And very, very cute. Like give them like hug these like young band. It was cool.
Yeah.
They were great.
You took there are a lot of things in your conversation now. The big shows, the take the people near, recognize friends around the years and years, and Jawbox is a lovely band. Many people around the world loves your band and your music, your view of the music and industry, not only the music and make songs, and so the other things, to take records, touring, and that view of honestly being honest.
Yes.
And natural.
Yes, I think we're what I've always enjoyed is the connection to people in the music.
Yeah.
I don't even really think of people who enjoy our music as fans, because so many of them are now my friends. I don't know everyone, right? I don't know everyone, but I'm a really big communicator, so I stayed in touch with a lot of people. So it was very cool to be back in Europe and see some of those people.
Yeah.
And also, I feel it really blows my mind that people still care after all these years. Like, it makes me feel, it humbles me. Like, it's cool. I just think it's cool. And I'm able to say to you now, you're gonna be the first person I say this to, but in 2019, when we reunited, we figured it would just be for a short amount of time. We were going to do a US tour, which we did, and we were going to play Primavera and a few other shows. But we've been having so much fun that we're going to write new music, try to write new music. So this is the first time I'm saying it out loud. So yes, on July 8th, which is next Friday, we're going to release something. And what we did was, there are 2 songs on Crip, which was our first record on Discord. And the way we play them now is so different that we re-recorded them. We recorded them in the studio. And so they're coming out along with a Wire cover. So that's coming out, those 3 songs right on the corner. So they're going to come out just on Bandcamp. So there's those, and we have a new member in the band, Bill left, and that was a big change for us. Brooks Harlan is in our band now. He's also in an excellent band called War on Women. And he's going to Europe really soon to tour. And it was sad to have Bill leave, but Bill moved to the countryside. Like, he lives in the country, away from from us now, up in a state called Vermont, in the woods pretty much. Like the first time I visited, I'm driving there and then it's a dirt road and I'm like, what the, like where does Bill live? And it's pretty cool. And he really wanted a change from being in the city. So it was too far for him to be with the band anymore. So Brooks has worked out great. So we're very happy about that. It's been a good thing.
You are practicing, making rehearsals, and the band is active now.
Yes, we are.
Making concerts?
Yeah, we have shows in this summer in New York City. We have three shows in New York City in a row. We're gonna do something kind of cool. We're gonna on night number 1 in New York City. We're gonna play stuff mostly from Grip and Novelty, our first 2 records. Then night 2 will be a feature for Your Own Special Sweetheart songs, and then night 3 will feature our self-titled last record. And then after that, we're going to play Washington, D.C.
Wow.
After that, in September, we're playing a Riot Fest, which is a kind of punk rock festival in Chicago.
Yeah.
But,
awesome.
Yeah, so but listen, we also all have other jobs and responsibilities.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a teacher, and Zach, our drummer, owns a little store in Brooklyn, New York. So he has a lot of responsibilities, and Jay has the studio, and Brooks is amazing. He fixes amps and guitars, and
yeah,
he does that.
I wrote this.
Out of Jay's studio. So, you know, the band doesn't make enough money that we can do it full time. So that's that'd be cool, but I don't think.
Yeah, maybe there are many musicians being teachers.
Yes.
Robert Scott from the Clean the Bats from New Zealand is teacher. Steve Bontil from Neurosis is teacher.
No,
you are a teacher.
There's a lot more than just that. And why is that? I don't know. I actually am also a librarian. Like my degree is as a librarian, but then I went into teaching. I just think after Jawbox ended the first time in 1997, I thought to myself, what am I good at? Like, what do I enjoy? And the answer that came to my mind is books. And that my degree to become a librarian, it's called a master's degree here. And I started as a librarian in a school, and then I went from that into teaching. And I just think teaching is a little punk rock. Like, I think, like you make it, like you influence people in one way with music, but I think you influence kids in a different way as a teacher, and in some of the same ways. And I think I'm a good teacher. Like, I think I've worked really hard at it, and my students like me. And it's creative, right? It's creative, like music making. So I think that's why a lot of musicians enjoy teaching, because you can kind of make it like you want in some ways.
And nothing is the same, no?
Yes.
The classrooms, the alums are always different.
Yes.
Every day is different. The energy of the classroom is different.
And in fact, I think of that all the time, because some days are really hard as a teacher, and teaching during the pandemic has been, well, fucking terrible. Like, just really.
Yeah.
Okay? A lot of teachers quit, but I stick with it because I love what you said. Every day's different. It's not like a boring office where it's like the same. I couldn't handle that. And I'm very hyperactive, and so are my students. A lot of physical energy. So I stand up and walk around most of the day. Yeah. Like, I usually I have an Apple Watch, and so I know how many steps per day. day of teaching, it's like 15,000 steps.
Wow.
Because I walk and walk all, so like I never teach sitting down. Like I'm always around the classroom. Yeah, anyways, yeah, I think you're right. If you have a bad day, the next day might be great. And you know, every year you have difficult students, but every year they change. So
And maybe have that creative or improv needles always alert, learning. I have some friends are teachers, and they talks about always are learning
yeah,
with the class.
yes. So I like to keep my brain active, and that's exactly right. Like I never keep my class the same. I'm always trying to change it each year and take the things that work really well, get rid of the things that don't. And I keep it interesting by changing it all the time. And you've got to actively love learning, I think, to be a really great teacher. So yeah, I don't know. There were times during the pandemic, I won't lie, where I just wanted to do a mic drop and quit, but I stuck with it. In fact, I will say my school wasn't perfect during the pandemic, but they did a pretty good job treating the teachers well and trying to make us as comfortable as possible. Because, you know, we went back in person before the vaccine.
Yeah.
That felt actively dangerous. That did not feel great. It felt scary, and you know, people were dying, and
we are returning to the class. Yeah.
It was such a hard thing because it was awful. It was awful for the kids learning virtually. Like it was hard.
Yeah.
Teachers and students and parents, like everyone, it was not easy.
Yeah.
No. I will say though, I love technology. So for me, going into virtual learning was not as hard as some teachers. Like learning Zoom and change lessons, I enjoyed the challenge because I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, this is nice. And I played a major role in helping other teachers who aren't so good with technology. So it felt like I had purpose, and that kept me going. Like I had to. It felt like World War III. Like I had to really, like, you know, stay on top of things to keep the train on the tracks. But yeah, then we went back in person, and then that was crazy because it was winter and it was freezing, and we had to open all the doors and windows because that was better to have fresh air coming in. So we're freezing in our winter coats and hats indoors, and the kids we have masks on, and you know, it's here.
Yeah, it's impossible. You spoke in an interview because it's very difficult to make class with the mask.
Yeah.
To a teacher, no?
Yeah, yes, but I'm pretty loud, so I can really push my voice. But the effect of wearing a mask all day and talking all day is exhausting. So at the end of every day, I've never been so tired. I don't usually get tired, but it was every day we were exhausted from talking through a mask all day. Yeah. And it's funny because some of the kids are so loud, but then there was this weird thing where they put their masks on, and then they were talking like this. I it again, louder, and it was just fucked up, actually. So anyway, I'm glad it's summer because I really needed a break.
Yeah,
So it's
it's holiday time,
yeah,
no?
it's holiday time, and
That's perfect.
it's yeah. Well,
Well done, teacher.
thanks. Sometimes people will say to me, "Oh, you're so lucky you get the time off in the summer," and I'm like, "You have to
Yeah,
understand something. If we don't get that time off, we're going to kill the kids." Like,
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's just, and anyway, a lot of teachers work in the summer. They just do other things.
yeah. No, no. The money is not. It's not.
Good. It's shit.
Yeah,
Let me say it.
it's not.
Good.
Yeah, more to teaching.
I
My my sister is teacher too. With yeah, and it's a crazy.
listen.
It's a,
I think if there were a different kind of society, we pay teachers like what doctors and lawyers make. Like, I don't. It
yeah.
doesn't really make sense to my brain. Um, or maybe doctors and lawyers need to make less. Listen, I think about this a lot, but I'm not going to be able to make that kind of change.
Teachers, healthy, and the rest.
No, I know. Yeah, exactly.
This is the most important.
Yes. I see some.
If we don't know to read a book, we don't know anything.
Well,
No,
yeah.
you are a book lover, librarian too.
Yes. I love books. I love books a lot. I'm going to say this. Something happened to me during the pandemic, and it happened to a lot of people. I couldn't read. I couldn't
Yeah,
focus
yeah.
on reading long books. It was too hard for my brain. Honestly, I'm just now getting back into reading like I used to before the pandemic. Like I read short things online and, binge watch Netflix or like whatever. I'm happy to admit it. Like I was just a mess. I kept trying to read books and I'm like, couldn't keep the focus on it. Just some strange things happened in the last few years, but it's coming now. The reading is back.
Too many information
I guess.
around. Talking with Lee Ronaldo, he can't play guitar.
Yes.
He tried to cycling or painting, but now nothing with the
It's
guitar.
funny.
In 1 year or
So some musicians couldn't do anything. They couldn't practice. But others got extra creative and wrote a
yeah.
song. So it kind of half and half. I don't know. Yeah, it was. But we didn't get together because too much risk of COVID bands getting together, especially for the early part of the pandemic. Like we couldn't practice for a long time until we felt it was safe. Yeah, but it's funny. It's funny because I think, last year when they canceled Primavera again, the COVID numbers were actually pretty low.
Yeah.
Pretty low. They
Yeah.
higher this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
No one gives a shit anymore. People are like, tired of this. I'm not saying, well, of course some people care. I care.
No. It's they are healthy things and not our decisions,
But people want to.
the numbers are there.
They want to go back to their lives, and you very much saw that at Primavera. Like you said, it was a party atmosphere. Like we wore masks except when we were playing. Guess that didn't help, like I said, because of that club show. So that's okay. But anyway, it was Primavera was interesting. I think it's one of those things that was cool to be invited. It was an honor, and it was very different than what we usually do. And it paid for us to play our other shows in Europe. They pay the bands well. So we were able to play Dublin and London and the other shows. So, you know,
Yeah.
just whatever. It's expensive to fly right now. You know, gas prices are high and people are traveling. Like the
Yeah.
tickets to get to
Yeah.
Europe were really expensive. Right.
Maybe next year is possible to a Jawbox tour with clubs, in clubs in
Yeah,
Europe.
we've talked about it because, you know, there's lots of places we didn't get to play, like, you know, Belgium and the Netherlands and Germany and France. Like, there's just Italy. Like, the Italians were mad at me, like, why are you not coming to Italy? So,
Yeah.
future possibilities.
Yeah.
Future possibilities. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I want to do it.
Yeah. To explain about Jawbox, maybe we can talk about maximum rock and roll.
That's something I haven't. Well, it's something I.
Your first song in published in a compilation with maximum rock and roll.
Was it? What?
No.
Was that the first thing?
I think yeah.
I feel.
Your first song in a compilation is not with a maximum rock and roll.
Probably. It's funny.
89.
Oh, you made. Oh, you make me feel very. But you know, I haven't thought about maximum rock and roll in a long time. They were very good to us. They helped us play early shows out in California, and it was cool, I think, until we went from Discord to Atlantic Records to a major label. And we actually got a letter from a Maximum Rock and Roll follower that said he hopes we die in a van accident because we signed to a major label. And I'm like, fuck, that's intense. So it's funny. You know, I always give credit to the people who helped us out along the way. And Maximum Rock and Roll, it's one of those places that did help us in the very early days of Jawbox.
Yeah. And the first times with the demo or the EP, the first EP,
yeah.
and to the new generations, if we
cassette tapes.
Yeah,
well, listen, cassette tapes.
Our music is, for me, is not CD, not vinyl, vinyl. Excuse me.
You're good.
No, my English is poor.
Your English is better than Catalan, okay?
And the cassettes, sharing cassettes, then the sharing music, take time with friends, and that I have this one, take this one, and recording. And
I did something really stupid. I got rid of all my cassettes, and I'm really mad at myself because they were a part of my history. Those we call them mixtapes, where we, you know, put a bunch of, like you said, we shared. That was super cool. Like seeing the handwriting of someone you cared about, and it took time to make that cassette tape. I love them, but you know, I also, I'm a modern woman, so I don't just live in the past. Like I think now kids, young people in the music scene have different ways of communicating with each other. They're not cassette tapes, obviously, but I think there's still great bands and great music being made, and I know some people who only listen to music that's from like 30 years ago, but I find that boring. I like all kinds of music, and I especially like new music. So playing with this
Mhm.
young band from Spain, like,
Yeah.
gives me hope, because they're
Mhm.
they're super punk rock. Like, they're
Yeah.
not be traditionally punk rock, but they have that mindset. Like, that's their minds. Like, they're very do it yourself, and I still think that's happening, you know. But yes, I think cassettes were our early way of communicating with each other and sharing, and now we share on Instagram Live.
I think the new cassettes are the playlist, the fanzines are the podcast.
Yes.
Maybe the spirit is the same. Like when Jawbox goes to a major, try to get the do-it-yourself philosophy or ethics to a major level to share with more people. And now, uh, like these talks, these chats are for me are like the old university radios.
Mm. Yeah.
That is that this
Yeah,
spirit.
the spirit. It's funny. There's a guy who just came on. I'm seeing it. He goes by Senor Burns, but he's German, and he was actually at Primavera. And I'm going to give him a shout out right now, because he made the most beautiful poster for Primavera that I've ever seen. It's
Mhm.
my. I hope I don't embarrass him. I won't. It's my favorite Jawbox poster ever, and there's been a lot of them. So it was
Yeah.
super cool. He was there selling things during Primavera, and our poster was one of those things. So it was super cool, actually, to meet him in person. So I just wanted to say hello to him. Um, yeah.
Do you talk about Xavi maybe?
Talk about,
Who the poster
yes,
maker
yes.
was? Xavi Error, the Error Design.
I'm trying to think of. I'm not remember the name of his design company. Uh, ugh,
Error.
I don't know if that's the name. I'll look it up, but I don't know. Whatever his design company, he does. Speaking of old school, he he creates the posters in a old school kind of way, and he actually showed his design process to me online, and it's awesome. He does it in
Hmm.
a very cool older way.
I'm, tr-
Beautiful.
I'm trying to find because I think I know who is. Well, yeah,
The name of his company, I would there was a drop it here, but I don't think it works like that. I don't think they can make comments now. I'll I'll I'll
no, I don't have. No, well,
station.
after we'll see after. Um, More things. With Jawbox, you talk about you are freak control freaks with your music. Yep, love that expression.
Control freak.
Control freaks.
Well, do we say that?
Trying
Do
to,
we say?
yeah, trying to with lawyers with a major level to the vinyl
Oh,
rights
well,
to
I can.
and those things,
Well, when
trying to control the product.
we did something very unusual when they I don't know, they kicked us off Atlantic Records, because of course we knew we weren't going to sell enough. We sold, listen, by punk rock standards, we did fine. We did really well, I think, but not by
Hmm.
major label standards. So I worked with a lawyer, this guy Brian Christner, who is the lawyer for a lot of punk rock bands, and he and I got all the rights back to the music from Atlantic. And that is highly unusual. And we had to pay $10,000 to get back 5,000 for each record, which for the major labels, probably not much money, but for us, it was a lot of money. So it was worth it to have that control of our music again. But, you know, I don't have any regrets about being on a major label. Being on a major label for a few years let us record 2 records that I'm really proud of. We had more to record, sound good. And there were so many weird moments being on a major label that we have a lifetime of stories that were hilarious about being on a major label. Sometimes they were good things. Sometimes they were not good things. But either we're enjoying ourselves. So I don't regret it. It was just part of our history. But it's nice to have the control back. I don't know if we're control freaks, but I think it's important to
take the control.
Yeah, keep control of, you know, your art.
Yeah.
So.
And De Soto?
Yes, I ran a record label for many years, and I certainly still I keep it going. I don't have any physical product anymore. Everything's digital now, basically. But you know, for instance, this new Jawbox stuff coming out, it has a DeSoto Records catalog number. Like it's really a DeSoto Records release. So I don't want to release any new bands anymore. I don't have time for that. I think doing a record label with bands that are touring is a lot of responsibility, and I don't have to put my energy into teaching and into Jawbox now. But I still have a huge back catalog, and I still, you know, maintain it, the digital rights, and I still pay royalties to my bands every year. So I'm very loyal and very honest. But
one of these bands, I saw them at Dismemberment
yeah, no, they
really good kids.
They're
really
great guys and friends of mine, and I saw them. They sent me a cassette tape to our PO box in Washington D.C. a long time ago. I got a lot of cassette tape, and I'll be honest, most of them were shit. But I'm really kind, and I'd always find something good to say about each one, because even if music's not great, someone's worked really hard on it, right? Those are really nice about my letters, because you write letters. And the Dismemberment Plan sent me their demo cassette, and I listened, and it was fucking weird. And it stuck in my head, and I went back to it a few days or maybe a few weeks later, and I listened again. I'm like, there's something here. And so I went to see them at this small club out in the suburbs of DC, like not a normal venue where you'd see shows. And they were so good live that I knew I needed to work with them. So
yeah, they are funny.
Yes.
And loud and kanji dancing and headbanging.
I really enjoy their music. Like, just proud of those releases are really great. That they
with the new record or that new release.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. I'm going to say something else. Maybe Donna Dresch is watching right now from Dresch. If so, hi. We just toured with them out in California, and they are an incredible band. I want to tour with Team Dresch again. That's something with the Jawbox we talk about a lot. Maybe I'm lucky.
Talking with Joe Lally 1 year and a half, maybe. He spoke about the importance in the music to touring, go to places, share your music with the people, and maybe Primavera Sound was a little day or 2 days with the Primavera Nos. But we still, you still loving to touring, to take a plane and go to another place, another countries.
Yes, and let me say something about touring that I think about a lot. When we started as a band in the dark ages, touring was really the only way to bring your music to and share with people. And but touring is fucking hard. Like, especially when you're a young band. It's not glamorous. You're sleeping on people's floors.
Yeah.
You know, you're driving the shitty van that breaks down. But we loved everything about it. And I think that's part of the reason for any success we had was because we were willing to get in a van and tour like half of each year and sometimes even more. Because lots of bands did not like love touring, and they'd play shows, then they'd get in a fight, then they'd stop touring or the band would break up. But I don't know what it was, but all of us really loved traveling. And as hard as it could be, I don't really remember the good things that happened on tour. You really remember the terrible things, but they made it's true. Like I'm about to be on a podcast that I love. Again, I'm not thinking of the name of it because whatever, I've pandemic brain. It is a podcast that shares the shittiest moments of touring, and I think that's genius but those are the moments you remember and you tell stories and you laugh about them. Like, do you remember when we were in Texas and we woke up and there was a boa constrictor in the bathtub? Like, fucking real story. But I still love traveling. Like, and I will say this, this tour we just did in Europe was so fucked up because it was a flying tour, which it sounds like it might be exciting. It's shit. It's shit. Can you imagine a world you put besides like maybe your children and your partners and your friends, the most loved thing is your fucking guitars. Like, and you check them into the plane hoping they'll be on the other side. And like when the luggage comes out, you're looking at the airport like, where the fuck did they put the guitars and all? It was super stressful. I don't love it.
Yeah.
But we got really lucky because we flew a lot on this European tour. And every time, like, all the equipment was there. But so that's the kind of tour we did. It's just different.
Talia said that talks about in the early years, you can you make the tours or you touring without GPS because she talks about now you have GPS and you go to here to there but early years there nothing, only maps.
I'll tell a quick story about no GPS. First, I'll say to Doug, he suggested some bands we should tour with. Those are good ideas, I have to say.
Scream tremendous. Great band.
Exactly, great bands. When we toured Europe in 1994, we toured for 9 weeks and played 14 countries. Now, no one did that. That's insane. Like, that was exhausting and hard, but so great. But the directions in the US at least made sense to me. We had everyone knows what I'm talking about who's been in a band. We had the Rand McNally Atlas where each 2 pages is a different state and you could follow your way and the promoters would give you pretty decent directions. In Europe, they were like, okay, go to Rome and get off the city center exit, then you'll just like find the club. No, you're not going to just find the fucking club. It's Rome. So there was a lot of stress finding the fucking club in Europe. The craziest moment we had was we played a show in Poznan in Poland, and you have to remember, there were still border crossings. The borders were, you know, you had to get into Poland, and this is the directions that we have for Poznan. Cross over into Poland. On the bridge into Poznan, there'll be a guy in a white T-shirt. Pick him up, and he'll tell you the show. Like literally written down in like on a fax that we got, and so we are from Poland, and
it's like Alice in Wonderland.
Pretty much. So we're driving to Poland, and we're just stopped, and the line to cross into the border is so like a mile. And I know this because at that point our drummer Zach still smoked cigarettes, and we wouldn't let him smoke in the van. So he got out. He goes, "I'm going to walk to the front of this line and see what's going on." So he smoked and he walked to the front of the line. Yeah, there's a sign on the border crossing that says they're at lunch. They're at lunch. There's no one there. So hours late, and I was like, no fucking way is there going to be a guy in a white T-shirt on a bridge still. But he was there. That fucking guy, he was there. Like, it was one of our better moments. I'm like, come on into the van, like take us to the show. That show was crazy, but I'll stop there with the story. But yes, GPS. I will say there's been progress. It is easy to get to shows now. but now you don't have good stories. There's no good story.
No,
the guy
no, you can. No, you can make stories with the social media.
Yeah.
Other new things.
No, but I like new things, so I'm good with everything.
Yeah.
New, but things were definitely harder and more challenging when you toured.
Yeah. Maybe someone says we are in a change, and we can't see the change because we are inside. And
interesting. I don't feel that way. Probably because I've been doing this. I think I don't feel that way because we took such a long break, and we started again in 2019, and I very much could see the differences. And let me tell you a big difference. This is for the women, especially out there, and really anyone who was kind of marginalized on the sides in the early days of independent rock music. I was so happy in 2019 to see different types of people running sound, doing the technical stuff. That kind of was all men when I was touring the first time, and there was a tremendous amount of sexism in the music scene. That I didn't always understand when it was happening to me. I can look back now and really reflect on it. And I was very much a feminist. I called myself a feminist in my 20s, but I am wiser and stronger as a person now. And if some of those things happened to me today, I'd be saying something to that person. And there was a lot of times when it was too intimidating. It was too hard to say something, or I wasn't sure what was going on. And that is interesting to see the differences. It's not perfect still, but it's much improved. With
I have one friend, a woman, in the producing big events, and this is she talks about the same. There are more girls, more women in the crews, in the sounds, producing, in all the areas
Yes.
of the music.
Yes. And it's funny, I'm thinking of Team Fresh right now, because we just played with them recently, and I'm sure they also would have some crazy stories about what it felt like to play then versus now and the kind of reactions they would get. Anyway, just something on my mind. So
No, it's normal. With Patty Schemel from Hall was here, and Talia Sedek, and the reference of women, when you take a bus, they are minus than today.
yeah, no, I gotta say, like, I got Spain and Italy, it was pretty rough. Like, the men were pretty, and I'm stereotyping here again because some men were lovely, but there was a very sexist scene going on in Southern Europe, even more than Northern Europe back then. Like, I had, especially in Italy, where it was men treated me in ways that were not okay. Yeah.
That's
cultural too. They're cultural differences as well.
Yeah. And with the music reference, when you are taking a bus with about the first time, so you take the another woman's example. You or Talia Zek talks about like Ramones, the Clash, the punk rock, but there are not many women in music there then.
No, but listen, I was from Washington, D.C., and there were more women in the D.C. music scene than the music scene, generally speaking, at that time. So I feel lucky that I was surrounded by some pretty strong women and role models and mentors. And I like to think I was a mentor. And I hear this from younger women, like, just by me being on stage and doing that, it influenced them in ways, and that honestly means more to me than most things that I've done. I think getting that feedback that I made a difference in helping more women participate in this music scene.
Yeah, you are one of these women, these strong women, and with your smile and with your communicate.
I do think the biggest statement you can make, well, back then especially, was to just get, as a woman, is to get your ass on stage and play hard and alone, without even any words, says something. Like, yeah. But, I gotta say, too, it got very, how can I say this in a way that's positive, not negative? I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people who wrote articles about women in bands, like so many fanzines. Yep, they'd sing like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It was like,
yeah.
Not just considered as a capable musician of my own, like, kind of more interesting that I was a woman, and they put us all together in these articles, like they chunk us all together, and I think that's still happening to some degree, and I don't love it.
Yeah, the example is our conversation. We are 1 hour talking, and in 1 hour we don't need to talk about you are a woman in a band,
and that's a good thing.
We are talking about music, producing new bands, touring, and
that's different. But it's funny because I also think it was important to talk about the experience of being a woman at the time, whatever. You know, this is for many women. I think it's just a difficult conversation. They were just
Yeah, yeah, but I think it's important to take your view.
yeah. No, and it's funny. I've actually had a few men apologize to me for the way they treated me back then, uh, which is interesting. This, this has happened like in the last like 5 years. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But when you take your instrument, um, about 7 or 8 years ago,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
they are strong women in the music,
Yeah.
and you talk about in DC. DC is a more open
Yeah.
a scene like other sides. It's a
For
reality.
sure, but also not perfect. But yeah, those it wasn't perfect either, but yes, there were more women then, and that was a good thing. So, I don't have much more time today. Were there
No,
other questions that I haven't talked?
no. If we are talking about 1 hour, I think it's really an
I'm a
honor.
talker. Um, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you
I'll,
so much for inviting me to have this conversation.
no, thank you, and hope to listen new songs,
Yes, well, July
new music,
8th, there's at least some new recordings coming out, and we're working on new music, which is super fucking.
and all the best to you, to your family, to the band, and to your friends, and
And
stay safe.
thanks to the people who tuned in here and appreciate it.
And enjoy the holidays.
Thank I really do enjoy this summer. Not the weather. The weather is terrible here in Washington D.C., but the rest of it is nice to have a break. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank
All
you,
right, take
Kim.
care.
Same.